Here's a tip for my fellow golfers and gamers. Do you want to book a golf trip to Vegas? For the best weather, aim for spring and fall. But the best prices, aim for summer and winter. But if you're looking for that sweet spot, try June. You get the August prices without that scorching heat. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
We know what Chris Sale can bring. I was personally high on Schwallenbach. Smith Shawver, their other starter, looks okay to kind of bad. They need to I don't want to say tread waters. I think that puts into a bad light, but that's what they ultimately need to do. They need to tread water until Strider gets back, until Acuna gets back, and maybe it's just part of the team morale mentality that we're not at full strength, need to kick things into gear once those guys get here.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than the Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC. That is King Ty Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
Hello and welcome to a Tuesday live right here on the early line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination to consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. We are here together for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern time. A Tuesday morning where officially the postseason around the association begins. Play-in tournament games in both the Eastern and Western conferences are 7-8 matchups. Out east, it's Orlando playing host to the Atlanta Hawks. In the Western Conference, it's a great showdown and a budding, perhaps, postseason rivalry between Golden State and Memphis. We preview and break down those matchups all 3 hours long. We'll go around Major League Baseball from a Monday. 10-game slate to start off a new week in the Bigs. And last night, the future of the WNBA changed forever. The 2025 WNBA draft in New York City with a ton to recap for you here over these 3 hours. DRS up until 11 a.m. Eastern time and plenty to dive into.
Yeah, been having a fun time here. Major League Baseball earlier. Maybe the winds of change are coming in from blowing in to blowing out. Temperatures started to improve. Had some fun last night. Boy, it was let down by one player last night, but had some pretty good reads across the tablet, which today sets up with a very good Major League Baseball card. But we do have the NBA. The season finally starts today, as I like to say. And the shame of it is, yeah, we'll probably watch Atlanta and Orlando, and we'll all wake up as a nation tomorrow and find out who won that late game there between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors. Just what it is, people. 10 o'clock, bury your fans, put them to sleep, and have them not watch the game. Shout out the NBA.
You can change your sport, but it does not mean that Donnie Rightside is going to stay up for it, even if it's postseason action in the NBA. How about the WNBA? The 2025 WNBA draft last night, and as expected, officially confirmed. First overall, Paige Becker, selected by the Dallas Wings, the UConn superstar who just over a week ago capped off a sensational and historic collegiate career with her first national championship in stores, drafted number 1 overall by the Dallas Wings, the 6th UConn player, DRS, to go 1 of 1 in WNBA draft history. No other college program in the WNBA has more than 2 first overall picks. Connecticut adds to its history, and Paige Beckers will look to turn around a franchise in the state of Texas.
Yeah, and again, no surprises here on this. Dallas, you truly did win the lottery. You got a superstar player that will immediately make your team better, but also be a draw in the WNBA, which certainly is half the battle. So, like what I see there, we'll see how long she stays in Dallas, or is she more destined to wind up in New York, in Los Angeles? But Dallas, for now, who is known to trade really hot commodities out of town for no reason, keep this one, Dallas. Keep this one in town. Trust me.
We hope that is the case. Paige Beckers goes number 1 overall. Dominique Malonga, the 6'6" person from France, goes 2nd overall to Seattle. She can dunk. She is seen as an international superstar. We'll have plenty more reaction around the 2025 WNBA draft a little bit later on. How about some NBA action for teams already in the offseason? 30 NBA clubs, 20 make the postseason. If you missed out on even the play-in tournament, it's a disaster, especially if you were expected to contend for a Western Conference crown and had the largest payroll in the NBA this year. So after a failure of a season in the Valley, the Phoenix Suns make yet another coaching change, firing Mike Budenholzer after only 1 year.
Oh, no, he didn't get a long chance out there. That's disrespectful. Mike Budenholzer, listen up, people. $10 million a year until 2029 to go fishing, have cocktails, smoke cigars, watch some basketball, and just relax, and probably can retire now. The biggest winner got fired yesterday. That was Budenholzer. Man, that guy's got it made.
The Suns continue to lose, though, 36-46 this year, 10 games sub 500, and for the third consecutive offseason, Matt Ishbia and Phoenix will be looking for a new head coach. Other news around the association yesterday, after a bad season in the Big Easy for the New Orleans Pelicans, they have fired their executive vice president, the head of basketball ops, David Griffin, after 6 years, a losing record over those 6 seasons, only 2 playoff berths for New Orleans DRS. Because of it, the Pels will be looking for a new exec. They're already targeting Joe Dumars to fill that vacant role.
How did he make it 6 years down in New Orleans at that point? And by the way, understand this, Joe Dumars, if you come to town and Zion is still on your basketball team, you will have the same exact fate as we just saw from the previous general manager. It might not be the city. It might not be the team itself. It just might be one player that continuously gets people fired down there. We'll find out.
Oh, I think I know who you are referencing. Let's get to some baseball news. We'll get to our 10-game slate on a Monday around MLB. But a big honor for the captain in the Bronx and the captain now of the United States, Captain America perhaps. Aaron Judge, named captain of Team USA for the 2026 World Baseball Classic, his first time competing for America in the WBC.
That's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah.
Why?
The World Baseball Classic, if I'm an owner of a Major League Baseball team, my player would never see that field. AAA players, AA players, single A players, collegiate players. Can I just start my Major League Baseball season without injuries and players being in camp so they're actually ready for the season itself? Enough of this. Let the college kids play. We'll be just fine. We'll keep it moving.
This guy clearly did not watch the final a few years ago in Miami. Shohei Ohtani against Mike Trout. Have some fun for once, Donnie right side. As we go to Major League Baseball on...
A lot of fun.
Yeah, but still, it was a really cool environment. Anyway, as we go to Major League Baseball on a Monday around the Bigs, the San Diego Padres continue to post the best record in MLB. A perfect 11-0 at home in San Diego. The Padres improved to 14-3 overall with a 10-4 victory against the Cubbies.
Smashing baseballs tonight. Just a little hint right now. There's a total out there floating around of 7.5 for San Diego tonight. Get on it. We're hitting balls again tonight out in Petco.
I love that, DRS. Jump in early. You know who was hitting balls last night? Fernando Tatis Jr. 2 home runs for the Padres as they plate double digits and improve to a perfect 11-0 at home. Some college football news, really focusing on one program and one prospect. The Colorado Buffaloes will retire the numbers of Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter after only 2 years in Boulder. Donnie, right side, the floor is yours.
Look, understand this. I am not a hater. I look at the New York Yankees and say, like, you've got to be kidding me with some of the players that you have retired over the years. You should have the honor and the tradition where you just put a patch on the New Jersey that says, like, you know what? Derek Jeter, number 2, wore this, and the Yankees can put number 2 in. There's no disrespect towards winning a Heisman Trophy. If you want to retire that jersey, I can get down with that, and I fully understand. But you were talking about retiring Shedeur Sanders, who, was a good football player, but is it something that nobody's ever going to be as good as him or win as much as him? Or, hey, nobody ever won a national championship. Yes, they did at Colorado. You've had multiple championship winners here. You've also had Heisman Trophy winners there. I don't like retiring jersey as a whole. Travis Hunter, go ahead and get your jersey retired. Shedeur Sanders, what are we doing here?
Yeah, listen, they do it for the individual accolades. Outside of that, I am not so sure. Max Crosby named the assistant GM at his alma mater in college football, Eastern Michigan. Plenty more on the early line. Comes your way up next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Welcome back to the Early Line, bright and early on this Tuesday morning, live right here on SportsGrid. He is Donnie. I am Ben. Today starts the NBA postseason play-in tournament games that we will preview for you. But DRS for the 10 teams and only 10 of 30 that missed out on any form of postseason action around the association. the offseason now officially here, following the end of the regular season on Sunday afternoon. The Phoenix Suns are already in the offseason. Not a spot the Suns expected to be before this year got underway, but because of it, and just a 36-46 record in 2024-25's campaign, more changes for Phoenix in store this offseason. Mike Budenholzer, after only 1 year as the head coach in the Valley, fired yesterday, DRS, by the Suns.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, again, in the NBA, when you're in the top pro sports, top four, I should say, pro sports leagues in the United States, you're hired to be fired. You have to understand that at one point. But also understand this. Like, you can fire 16 straight coaches and still be profitable in the NBA and be paying literally like 3 to 4 to 5 coaching staffs at one time. It's when you fail that epically, things do have to change. And the one thing I do like is, like, Ishbia buys that team and promised, hey, look, money is never going to be an issue with my franchise here. I want to go out and build a big three. It didn't work out. And it's clear that he understands it didn't work. They're going to blow that team up this summer. Whatever the fines might be that they have to pay to get the guys out of town and have extra payroll, it's going to be that. But also understand this. If you feel that you made an error with the coaching hire and you say, you know what, if I keep this guy around, I'm going to have to still pay him $10 million a year for 4 years, but at least I don't have to pay that out. You're going to get a new head coach in there, which is probably going to make more money than Budenholzer had, but still going to pay him $30 to $40 million just to go away. That's the price that you pay for an NBA team to try to excel. So you can look at this two different ways. You can say, boy, the owner, he doesn't have any idea what he's doing. I look at it the opposite way. This is a healthy group that said, I'm going to bring lightning into the Valley. It didn't work out. I'm going to change my ways and rebuild this thing completely. And again, money's not going to be an issue. Can you imagine if Budenholzer came out at the end of the season with the owners like, hey, you know what? We'll work on this, but the motive was really, well, I can't fire this guy and pay him out this much till 2029 and get a new head coaching staff. I like the move. If it didn't work, just move on and try again. It's a sign of a healthy organization, even though they had a terrible season. Not the owner's fault.
Healthy organization? Really the words you want to use for the Phoenix Suns? For the third consecutive offseason, going to have to look for a new head coach, despite having the largest payroll in the NBA and finishing 10 games below 500. Not the owner's fault, because all of this has happened under Matt Ishbia.
Yeah. If I'm a fan,
though,
the
same way, Donnie.
If Ishbia bought my team in Phoenix and this is how he was reacting, I would love it, because you have the de facto old school like George Steinbrenner in town that goes, money will never be an issue. I will try every which way to do it. I don't think anybody was laughing at the Phoenix Suns when they acquired Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, said, ooh, now we got Beal. We got a big three. And it didn't work. And they're going to explode that organization this offseason and try to rebuild it from the ground up. That's what I look at. You can always have teams that are muddled and terrible with horrible ownership and looking to cut payroll. The only thing I want out of my owner is to make sure money is not an object, and that's what they're doing in Phoenix.
Sure, I hear your point, but again, from a return standpoint, if you are said owner in Matt Ishbia, who comes in with his front office exec in James Jones, and they make all of these moves to acquire Kevin Durant, to acquire Devin Booker, or keep Devin Booker, I should say, to make sure you add Bradley Beal in forming a big three in the Valley, in the hopes of winning the Western Conference and playing in the NBA Finals, and you finish with 36 wins, when your preseason win total was 48.5, and you had the fifth best price to win the Western Conference, and now because of it, you are blowing everything up. You are looking for a new head coach. Kevin Durant's not going to be there next year. There's a great chance that Devin Booker is not playing for Phoenix next year, just to build it all back from the studs and try to find your way where there's no guarantee of success next year, the year after, 5 years down the line. To me, that seems like a disaster, not a healthy organization.
No, you know what would be a disaster? Running it back, saying, well, signed all these guys, paid a lot of money. This is what we got for 4 years. Fans enjoy it. If I'm a fan, I wake up today and say, you know what? At least the owner's looking out saying, this didn't work. I paid a lot of money for it. You know what? I'm going to continue to pay a lot of money for this, and we will eventually get it right. The only thing you understand in the NBA is you can be on that treadmill, and you can win 42 games a year, and you can be the Atlanta Hawks and suck every single year, make the playoffs, win a round or two. You don't want that. You're either trying to win a championship or you're trying to be as bad as you can possibly here. So this summer, if they would have brought it back, I'd have said, this is the worst organization I've ever seen. This guy should get out of town. But the fact that he's going to stroke hundreds of millions of dollars, probably in checks this all season, just to make people go away, as a fan, I got hope. I really do.
This offseason, the dismissal of Mike Budenholzer. Last offseason, the firing of Frank Vogel. The offseason prior to that, the firing of Monty Williams. It wasn't all that long ago that Phoenix, with Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, led by the veteran point guard in Chris Paul, was playing in the NBA Finals this year, 10 games sub 500, despite much, much higher expectations, and again, not even making the play-in tournament. Shams Charania confirming that Phoenix will work with KD to find a trade partner this offseason, find Kevin Durant a new home. We'll see about Devin Booker. We'll see about Bradley Beal. Other moves yesterday around the NBA. David Griffin, after 6 years as the executive vice president for New Orleans, the head of basketball operations for the Pels, that resulted in just 2 playoff appearances for the Pelicans. He was fired yesterday as well. The Pels already targeting veteran NBA front office and many other things in Joe Dumars to fill that void. But Donnie, New Orleans had some very high heights and some very lofty optimism with Zion Williamson, with Brandon Ingram, with CJ McCollum. It really hasn't worked out in the Big Easy.
No, it hasn't, and people have to go at that point, because the one thing you do understand is you looked at that roster over the past 2 to 3 years, there's some talent on that roster. There is no reason to be this absolutely poorly coached and or GM'd and or ownership group and or players at this point, but it does point right to Zion. Can you imagine if Zion came from Duke and was healthy and motivated and in shape for most of this time? It just feels like we're waiting on Zion, and before you know it, Zion's going to be retired. Like, hey, what happened to the Zion years in New Orleans? Yeah, absolutely nothing.
Number 1 overall pick back in the 2019 NBA draft. 5 years in the NBA for Zion Williamson. Now we'll get to Major League Baseball. The headlines from a 10-game slate on a Monday, and a new captain for the United States. Donnie's fired up next.
Here's a tip for my fellow golfers and gamers. Do you want to book a golf trip to Vegas? For the best weather, aim for spring and fall. But the best prices, aim for summer and winter. But if you're looking for that sweet spot, try June. You get the August prices without that scorching heat. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
We know what Chris Sale can bring. I was personally high on Schwallenbach. Smith Shawver, their other starter, looks okay to kind of bad. They need to I don't want to say tread water, so I think that puts into a bad light, but that's what they ultimately need to do. They need to tread water until Strider gets back, until Acuna gets back, and maybe it's just part of the team morale mentality that we're not at full strength, need to kick things into gear once those guys get here.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than the Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC, that is King Kai Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Tuesday morning on the early line on SportsGrid. 10-game slate around Major League Baseball from a Monday to recap and react to here. But we start with the big news in the world of baseball. for the World Baseball Classic in 2026. Team USA has a new captain. He's the captain in the Bronx. He's now the captain of all of America. That would be Aaron Judge, named the captain for Team USA for the 2026 WBC. DRS, you shared early in the show with a grunt and a, that's all I'm going to say. I believe this does not absolutely thrill you that Aaron Judge is the WBC captain for the United States in 2026.
No, I'd be upset with if it was Bryce Harper as the captain. Like, come on now, Bryce, get your priorities together at this point. I mean, understand this. You do want to win a world championship, and technically that would be a world championship, but I don't need to see my players playing in insignificant baseball games when I am worried about the season itself on the line. Now, maybe it can propel you have a couple extra knocks in that series. Like, hey, you know what? It was good, but you could be doing the same thing fundamentally with your team at spring training in a more controlled environment at that point. The players like it. They're going to play in it. That's what we get out of it. And baseball feels it's good for the sport to go more global at this point. But I understand this. Sometimes I do feel like you have the other teams from around the world take this really, really serious.
For sure.
When Team USA is like, yeah, you know what? We'll get out there and see what happens.
The 2023 World Baseball Classic and the atmosphere in Miami was electric, as we shared earlier. Shohei Ohtani and Team Japan upending Team USA in that wonderful championship game. 2026 World Baseball Classic just a little bit away. I believe that is going to be before the start of the 2026 Major League Baseball season. Of course, Aaron Judge, a good day yesterday in the Bronx. Much warmer weather to start off a new week in the greater tri-state area. 2 for 4 at the dish, but it was a ton of other Yankees that produced against the Royals. 4-1 win for the Pinstripes. 4 solo shots. Jazz Chisholm, now 6, tied for the lead around MLB this season. Ben Rice, Austin Wells, Trent Grisham. DRS, as you like to say, in a minor league ballpark, especially that short porch in right, all 4 lefties in the starting lineup for New York yesterday going yard.
I mean, what an advantage it is. And by the way, we were setting this game up multiple times. Like, Carlos Carrasco wasn't a good pitcher last year and entering into this season early times, not really that good. He was good yesterday. 5 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 4 Ks, 2 walks, gave him the lead at that point. But also understand this, like, Jazz Chisholm is so interesting to me. Like you just told me, like, home run leader out there, like a 175 hitter. So if you are handicapping Jazz Chisholm, and there's a guy on third base with no outs, make no mistake about it, he's not driving that guy in. But you do understand this. He has no plate awareness, but if he wants to connect on a home run, he's going to do it.
Right.
So don't bet him to get a single. Don't bet him to get a double. Don't bet him to get an RBI. Just bet him every night to hit a home run because that's the only thing his mind is working on, and use it to your advantage.
DRS, what do we talk about in baseball? The 3 true outcomes, a home run, a walk, or a strikeout. There's only 2 for Jazz. It's going over the wall, or he's sitting on the bench about 4 pitches in to an at-bat. The San Diego Padres continue their incredibly hot start to the season. An MLB best 14-3 mark, and they remain perfect at home. Make it 11-0 as the Padres hammer the Cubs yesterday in the opening of a midweek set. 10-4 the victory for the Padres, led by 2 long balls from Fernando Tatis Jr. San Diego was trailing entering the 6th inning. They scored multiple runs in the 6th, 7th, and 8th to plate 10 in total to knock off Chicago.
Yeah, if you were doing a stack with the lineup tonight, and most people do stacks like early on in the lineup, Ben, like 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4 at that point. Take a look at Tatis, Arise, Machado, and Sheets last night. Just run scoring. 3, 2, 3, and 1. And multiple hits just about out of everybody and RBI. That's an impressive performance. Again, without Merrill. It's a fun-looking lineup, but understand this too. Dylan Cease came into that game, early season, ERA around 8. I thought he would have a bounce-back performance. Was he sensational? No. 5 2/3 innings pitched, only 2 earned runs and 6 strikeouts last night. That's more in line with what we expect out of Cease, who lowered his ERA from that 8 range down to 6.64, which is still astronomically high, but it's a good bounce-back. But boy, the Padres are pounding away at the plate. It's really good stuff. 11-0 at home. That's impressive, man.
Tied for the 4th best start, DRS, for a team at home in MLB history. The record belongs to the Rays back in 2023, a 14-0 start. San Diego, a favorite last night, as you might expect, has been favored in 9 of the 11 games at Petco Park. and they have won all 9 and, of course, all 11. Also, MLB's best mark at 14-3. More MLB headlines from a Monday, what it means for the updated pennant prices early this season. Next.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and you know, launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I'm still optimistic eventually this will happen and they'll get it together. I mean, if Florida can get their act together, Sam, with the tribes, I believe that California can too.
It would bring a lot of money to the tribes, which is also something they really care about. It's an $8 billion market. Conservatively, it could be even more when it legalizes. The sports books would be sharing revenue with the tribes, essentially doing all their operations and forking over a percentage directly to the tribes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC, that is King Kai Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweights.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
10-game slate on a Monday around Major League Baseball. Recapping it for you here on a Tuesday, looking at the updated pennant prices around the bigs as well. DRS, a lot of runs yesterday scored by the Tampa Bay Rays as they explode for 16, hammering their divisional foes in the Boston Red Sox, who continue to struggle early on this year. 16 for Tampa, 14 in the opening 3 frames, including 9 in the third. The Rays blow out Boston at home 16-1.
Yeah, how about that, man? Torching. And by the way, this is what we love. Like, can you imagine Rays games where the Rays are scoring 10 runs at home? It sounds incredible, doesn't it? But now you have that outdoor atmosphere where the heat and humidity come in. And also understand this. Like, well, Donnie, it's hot and like sunny in a lot of places. That stadium that they play is basically Yankee Stadium South. The short porch out there, take advantage of it, and they're doing it. I loved it, and it's the one thing that we talked about a lot, Ben, this show and also Pro Baseball Today. The fact that you don't play in the Trop anymore, you now look at the AL East as a pure hitting division. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it certainly is. Shane Baz, great for Tampa.
Yeah.
Tanner Houck on the other side for the Red Sox.
Hammered.
Oh, boy, 11 earned runs given up, 12 when he was on the bump for the Sox yesterday. Again, Boston now a couple of games below 500. The Rays continue to perform well in the American League East. Juan Soto, just his second home run as a New York Met yesterday, as the Mets win a baseball game 5-1, getting the better of the Minnesota Twins, who are off to a terrible start at a 5-12 beginning this year. Soto's first home run for the Amazons since the opening weekend of this MLB season.
Yeah, by the way, Soto's always going to be a good player. We get that. And he does a lot more things than just like hit home runs. The guy's always on base. But you know what? I love this? Like the protection in the lineup now. Like Pete Alonso was just striking out left and right last year. Like, hey, what's he going to hit this year? 220? He's hitting 345. Looks like a completely different player because of the protection that he's getting out of Juan Soto. What a fantastic move, because you pay all of that money and then you expect your team to get better. Not because Juan Soto's a great player, but the protection that he adds in the lineup where he's always on base or making the pitcher work in front of him. And Pete Alonso, he's reaping a lot of benefits right now. I like that. Lindor, Soto, and Alonso. As long as Lindor is hitting 220, can step his game up to what we thought he could be for the Mets,
for sure.
That's a really good 1-2-3 punch. I like it.
Shohei Ohtani, of course, winning the National League MVP award a season ago. But Frankie, that being Lindor, was in consideration for it if it wasn't for Ohtani. Juan Soto actually had some interesting comments yesterday, DRS, about how he is getting pitched differently this year, citing Aaron Judge, the best hitter in baseball, as Soto called him, being around him in the lineup, batting behind him a season ago. But they continue to adjust. He goes long yesterday for the second time this year. A couple of really good starts yesterday on the bump. Paul Skeens' response from his worst start in his Major League Baseball career. 5 earned last week against the Redbirds. Yesterday, DRS, in 6 innings of work, only a single earned run allowed for the Pirates. They get a big home victory against the Nationals. Again, those 5 earned, the most that Skeens had allowed in his MLB career. Yesterday was Skeens' day number 27 in the history of Major League Baseball. Tarek Skubal gave up 7 earned runs in total in his opening 2 starts of the year. In his last 2, zilch. Yesterday, 7 innings of shutout baseball for Skubal and the Tigers. They continue to win. I believe a 9-1 win yesterday for Detroit.
Yeah, really good stuff here at the top of that lineup, really producing a lot of RBI. Good spot for them as well. But just getting back to Paul Skeens as well with Pittsburgh, 6 innings pitched, that 1 earned run, 6 Ks, getting that ERA back under 3. You're seeing some of these younger pitchers like Tarek Skubal. Understand this. We usually think about coming into the season, the bats are behind the pitchers here, and the pitchers have an advantage. No pitcher likes to pitch, Ben, 45, 55 degrees. Man, they like it hot and sunny, 80 degrees, work up that sweat, and actually groove that fastball. So now when you see the temperatures start to change, even if it's just from 50 degrees to 60 degrees, the pitchers also like that as well. So it's fun to see out there. And yesterday was a really good spot for the Pittsburgh Pirates to hammer. But it does feel like, hey, we root on Skeens Day, and every other day it's like, what are we doing? And by the way, the Pirates yesterday, Ben, you don't see this too much in baseball. 8 out of 10 with runners in scoring position. That's an 800 batting average with runners in scoring position. You got to love that.
DRS, you were all over it, right? You said keep an eye on that Pirates team total. They get to 10 yesterday. The Dodgers bounced back, opening up their midweek set against the Rockies 5-3. They were greater than a $3 home favorite. They do even cover that run line of a 1.5. Mookie Betts, a 2-run shot. Shohei Ohtani, his 5th home run of this 2025 MLB season. LA wins 5-3. Colorado is 3-13. Elsewhere in the National League West, the San Francisco Giants, a 12-4 beginning to this season as they beat the Phils in Philadelphia 10-4.
Yeah, by the way, a stunner there for the Dodgers. We talked to Tom Vecchio yesterday. Remember, it's like, man, Ohtani really let me down. So what does he do is the first at-bat single, second at-bat home run. You know it always goes that way. Now understand this. I was happy yesterday because why? Like, you can't bet against your favorite teams. I had the Giants yesterday. Thought they were the better team. Down 3-0 right away. Before you even got to the bottom of the second inning, it was 6-3 for the Giants because Taijuan Walker had a lot of fake statistics entering into this young season. But here's sometimes where it's painful, where you say, I don't understand what happened. Like, Lee is the best hitter in that lineup for the San Francisco Giants, has been raking all season long, post up in this game with an 0-for-5 and 3 Ks. Multiple times he had chances for me, which I needed an RBI and or just a 1+1+1 market, which meant score a run, get an RBI, or get a base hit to hit 2 parlays. Every single batter in that lineup, Ben, had at least one statistic. It was Lee batting third last night. So it's April. Sometimes you get that, but look at this. The Giants, it's a good hitting ball club, man. Watch out for them. I didn't expect that this year. I really didn't.
Jung-Hoo Lee, DRS, for San Francisco in that 3-game set on a cold weekend in the Bronx. Had 3 home runs and 7 total ribbies against the Pinstripes. Nothing yesterday, despite his Giants team plating 10 runs. Mike Yastrzemski, the 34-year-old vet, off to a great start this year. And to DRS's point, the Phils did score 3 in the bottom half of the first only for the Giants to score 6 in the next half inning to take a 6-3 lead and never look back. Let's talk the National League, DRS. The Dodgers, yeah, they had lost their last 3 series, but they'll get some relief playing the Rockies this week. We still expect the Dodgers to be there at the end of the road and still a very short favorite to win the NL at plus 135. The Phils and the Mets, contenders out of the National League East, no doubt. 6-1, their numbers. The Braves off to the terrible start, although an 8-4 victory yesterday in Toronto. Atlanta still in the bottom of the National League East standings at 5-11, plus 750. The Braves entered this year with the second best price to win the National League. Donnie, I think the conversation, though, based on market movement early, is those teams overperforming expectation in the National League West. Not named the Dodgers. The Padres, of course, best record in Major League Baseball, 14-3 and a 12-1 price to win the pennant. And the Giants, who you got to go even further down at 25-1. How do you make sense on those numbers from the pair for the National League West?
Yeah, some people would look at this odds board here at the FanDuel Sportsbook and not understand what they're looking at. They go, okay, the Dodgers we know is good. They took a lot of bets. They're still going to be good. They'll be fine. They won yesterday. Plus 135 makes sense. Then you go, wait a second. How would the Mets, Phillies, and the Braves at 6-1, 6-1, and 750 be so much in front of the San Diego Padres, who just might be the best team in Major League Baseball right now? Well, the thought process behind that, Ben, as you know, Mets, Phillies, and Braves, expectations is all 3 of those teams can win the NL East, which gives you the advantage once you get to the playoffs. You take a look at the Dodgers. They're just expected to walk away with that division no matter what the lead is for anybody else. Therefore, the Dodgers are heavily favored over the Padres, and the Padres are blocked behind the Mets, Phillies, and the Braves for those statistics here. It's early in the season. Teams will bounce back. They'll be fine. I'm mad at my Philadelphia Phillies at this point right now because they're getting typically good pitching, but nobody can hit at the plate. They're still sitting at a 6-1 price. If we overreact, Phillies should be 12-1, and the Padres should be plus 135. That's not the way it works. It's a long season. Things will play itself out. That's why even you see the Braves, like, how could the Braves be ahead of the Padres? Understand what I just explained. That's why.
Although Atlanta does not have the right side of history backing the Braves this year, no team, of course, has started 0-7 and made the Major League Baseball postseason. That was the start this year for Atlanta. You saw the Arizona Diamondbacks as well at 13-1. They're above 500, but they're losing ground by the day in the National League West. They are 9-7. American League odds up next.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and you know, launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I'm still optimistic eventually this will happen and they'll get it together. I mean, if Florida can get their act together, Sam, with the tribes, I believe that California can too.
It would bring a lot of money to the tribe, which is also something they really care about. It's an $8 billion market. Conservatively, it could be even more when it legalizes. The sports books would be sharing revenue with the tribes, essentially doing all their operations and forking over a percentage directly to the tribes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC, that is King Kai Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
Just one final point, by the way, on the National League pennant odds before we turn our attention to the AL. Donnie, it's about 2.5 weeks into this Major League Baseball season, and one thing is becoming rather crystal clear around the National League. 5 of the 6 playoff spots, of course, the expanded postseason in the bigs in the National League, more than likely going to hail from the 2 divisions, the National League West and the National League East. That was the expectation entering this year, by the way. But outside of the divisional winner in the NL Central, the Cubbies the only team above 500. You really got to think that the 2 divisional winners and all 3 wild card spots coming from the NL East and the NL West.
Yeah, you would figure that, right? Because, again, we always forget about the central divisions. Even in the American League, same thing as the National League. They're not the heavy hitters. Usually they're on the coastlines there that you pay attention to. And, again, the money typically dictates that as well, and also at the trade deadline. If you want to acquire more bats and more pitching, what's that usually cost you, Ben? Not only prospects, but expanding your payroll, which you might already be up against, let's just say, that luxury tax threshold at that point. So no complaints from me at that point, and you're right. So it looks like it's probably going to be that as well.
Yeah, that probably is where things stand right now around MLB. Let's turn our attention over to the American League. The Yankees remain the favorites to win the AL pennant at plus 350. The Rangers $3 behind at plus 650. The Sox, despite being sub 500, plus 750. But, Donnie, it was the Orioles who entered this year with the second best price to win the AL pennant, only behind the Pinstripes. Baltimore off to a miserable start, a 6-9 record to begin this year. They have dropped 7 of their last 10. What do you make so far of those top 4 prices to win the American League pennant?
You know, it's kind of funny because you look at the roster, right? And even coming into the season, it was like, boy, the Yankees, Stanton's going to sit this one out. You lost your best pitcher, Garrett Cole. There's no way they can win the American League, but somebody has to take it from you if you're still the favorite. And I look at the American League, Ben, and it's early. You're going to have times that are changing and baseball teams that are going to step up. I understand that. Does this look like the worst version of the American League that we've seen in 25 years? I'm just being honest. Like, yes, the Yankees are a good ball club, but this iteration, let's just say, of the Yankees 4 or 5 years ago, we're not talking about them as the best team in the American League. And now you take a look as best by far, and even with injuries here, and they're not playing that great of baseball, and still plus 350 price for the Rangers at plus 650. There is talent in the American League, but that's my takeaway. Like, I want to look at the Yankees, like, they can't be the favorite. But, Ben, go line by line and team by team and go, who's worthy of being the favorite over the Yankees? Nobody is. So the market is correct at the FanDuel Sportsbook, but it's just like your mind is playing tricks on, like, oh, the Yankees aren't that good. Okay, we'll pick another team. Oh, you love the Mariners. You're like, ooh, I don't know about that. Oh, you love the Royals. I don't know about that either. Oh, the Red Sox will get it. Will they get it together? Like, that's what the mind tricks are playing in my head right now.
Donnie, I think it's a great point, and I think when you look at a lot of those teams considered a pennant contender either now or before the year, it's been a story of disappointing starts, and can they turn things around? Again, the Red Sox are 8-10 following giving up 16 runs to divisional foe, the Rays, in Tampa yesterday. The Orioles are 6-9. It has not been a great start. And, Donnie, there was a reason that people were optimistic about the teams from the American League East, or maybe the Rangers out of the American League West being a pennant contender, because the Yankees took a huge blow before this baseball season even started, losing Garrett Cole for the entirety of this season. Now, the Yanks have a half-game advantage for the top spot in the AL East, but New York's just 9-7. They only allowed Bobby Witt and the Royals to have 2 hits yesterday, Witt compiling both for KC, including a solo shot inside Yankee Stadium. But the best record right now in the American League is the Detroit Tigers at a 10-6 mark. That's the best record in all of the AL at 10-6. DRS based on win percentage, that's .625 for Detroit. There are 4 records right now in the National League, 3 of them from the NL West, Padres, Giants, Dodgers, and the Mets atop the NL East, better than that of the Tigers. So, yes, in comparison, the AL is off to a down start to this season. A lot of times to figure things out. But to your point, yeah, the American League looks like the much weaker side right now in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, maybe the Yankees will be the benefit. Can you imagine if the Yankees started healthy this season? Giancarlo Stanton was in that lineup with a lot of these young kids batting around him, and Aaron Judge having a good season, and Garrett Cole being dominant on the mound to push the other starters down another peg. That would be fantastic to watch. But again, the Yankees will make some moves here, but it's just interesting where I had no inclination to say, I just want to bet the Yankees this year. Like, I didn't like them coming out of spring training because they were injured. But again, it just gets back to that hey, well, who else are you going to pick? I like the Rangers, and I picked them preseason and say, you know what? They have the talent on that roster to win a pennant in the AL, and they still might do that, and they're second at the price point here at the FanDuel Sportsbook. The Boston Red Sox, I think they have a talented roster, and once it starts to heat up and those bats come around, I think they'll be just fine. Same thing with the Orioles. Right. But nobody there's like, ooh, bury that team right away and say, you know what? I think the Blue Jays can come back. It looks like it's everybody, and then there's the Yankees this early in the season.
And Donnie, the debate for us prior to this year getting started with the injuries to the New York Yankees was the idea, does that present value on other teams around the bigs, around the American League, as the Yankees prices move back? I think you could argue now New York's kind of been steady right there, so maybe there is some buyback in the pinstripes, which is a crazy thing to say. Again, these are postseason prices. You win a pennant come October and early November, but you have to be in those positions. And yes, a lot can change over the long summer in 162 games. But based on the beginning, of course, you are trying to put yourself in those prime spots. My pick to win the American League this year, the Detroit Tigers at 11-1. That price down by $1.50 based on this strong start. Tarek Skubal looking like the reigning AL Cy Young winner in his last two outings for Detroit. Best record in the American League at 10-6. But Donnie, we could see a little bit of a changing of the guard. The Astros sub 500, Red Sox, Orioles sub 500. The Rangers still 2 games above 500 at 9-7. But the team with the best record right now in the AL West, it's the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim at a 9-6 start. The Rangers, by the way, swept over the weekend by their divisional foes in the Mariners, who are back to an even 500, 8-8.
Yeah, I guess if there was one team that you should be able to trust, but you can never trust, isn't it the Seattle Mariners on a year-to-year basis? They have the pitching to beat anybody in Major League Baseball on a day-to-day. But then it's like, well, they keep losing games 3-1 because their offense can't wake up. I just wish like the Seattle Mariners as an organization go, we're just going to pay the best 5 bats on the free agent market in the next year and say, let's just give us an opportunity to actually win something here. So that's one of those teams you do want to watch out for because pitching does win. We're not going to get around that.
Yep. And they've got a great starting staff there in Seattle. 2025 WNBA Draft. Our reactions from last night in New York City next.
Here's a tip for my fellow golfers and gamers. Do you want to book a golf trip to Vegas? For the best weather, aim for spring and fall. But the best prices, aim for summer and winter. But if you're looking for that sweet spot, try June. You get the August prices without that scorching heat. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
We know what Chris Sale can bring. I was personally high on Schwallenbach. Smith Shawver, their other starter, looks okay to kind of bad. They need to I don't want to say tread water, so I think that puts into a bad light, but that's what they ultimately need to do. They need to tread water until Strider gets back, until Acuna gets back, and maybe it's just part of the team morale mentality that we're not at full strength, we need to kick things into gear once those guys get here.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than the Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC, that is King Ty Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
A historic night to shape the future of the WNBA last night in New York City. The 2025 WNBA draft in DRS, as we all expected, number one overall, basically as was her birthright the last few years. Paige Beckers goes first overall to the Dallas Wings. Of course, capped off her incredibly successful and legendary collegiate career just over a week ago with national championship number 1 for her, number 12 for UConn, and now 9 days later, the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 WNBA draft. Paige Beckers was a minus 20,000 favorite to go 1 of 1 to Dallas. It's what we saw actualized last night in New York City.
Yeah, it was no surprise that she went number 1 overall. Now, answer me this question, too, because Paige Beckers comes right into the WNBA as an ultimately a superstar before she even takes one shot here. What is her what's the contract that she signs to get into the WNBA? Is it a 1-year, 2-year, 3-year? And what's the financials behind that? Do we have that like off the cuff or no?
Joe Frizo will find that for us in just a moment. I believe it is a 4-year rookie deal worth $350,000 is her rookie deal for the entirety of that. It's why DRS, some headlines were made early on Monday or late Sunday night that Paige Beckers signed a deal to play with the Unrivaled League and will be paid more in her first year of that 3-year contract with Unrivaled than she will make in the entirety of her rookie contract in Dallas.
Yeah, she's also a partner in that, which makes some sense. Now, Paige Becker's never going to hurt for money. Like, she's going to have endorsements. She's going to be paid, like, out the wazoo, despite what her WNBA salary is. The reason I bring this up is, like, we've seen this sometimes in the NBA. If you remember back in the mid-1990s, like, there was a pseudo-cap, per se, that they had. But the Chicago Bulls got, like, a dispensation from the NBA to pay Michael Jordan 1 year, like, whatever they wanted to, because it was, like, good for the league. If you know, like, the MLS, where it's like, hey, let's bring over David Beckham, but, hey, our team payroll is $4 million. Like, the guy makes, like, $40 a year. It's like, no. You pay him whatever you want in LA. The league is going to be okay with it because it brings more fans like into the tent. Now, I'm not saying like Paige Beckers, she's automatically going to play in the WNBA, but also like Caitlin Clark. Like, shouldn't we have that? Like, you are a bona fide superstar number 1. Like, there is no payroll for like the stars here to keep them happy and be like, hey, you know what? Love the WNBA and keep it moving forward and bring as many eyes on the game. I understand this. The WNBA technically isn't profitable at this point, but you know how you do make it profitable? Every year, new superstars coming into the league that feel like they are paid essentially what their status will be. We're not asking them to make $10 or $15 million a year, but when you hear that, like, hey, number 1 overall pick in the WNBA, who is a superstar, it's like, man, they're only going to make about $78,000 to play in the WNBA when we take a look at some other options that could be out there, like going back to school, making $3 million. It just doesn't make sense. They'll correct that in the future. And also, a lot of people getting drafted last night, not necessarily superstars, but when you have the superstar and you see the pay for that superstar, it does make you laugh a little bit.
We'll have Miles Ehrlich on with us in our second hour to talk about what the expectation will be for Paige in Dallas, what it means to continue the momentum in the WNBA into the 2025 summer. It should be noted, DRS, the CBA, the current one of which the W is operating under, signed back in 2020, was supposed to run through the 2027 season. But back in October, the Players Association opted out of the current collective bargaining agreement to bring things about quickly as the league has seen such an expansion and a spark behind its numbers with that tremendous growth and momentum so that they can maybe get higher player salaries based on what we are seeing in the W. There is probably a tie there, DRS, between Olivia Miles, who is projected as the surefire and bona fide number 2 overall pick out of Notre Dame this year, why she hit the transfer portal, ends up at TCU for a reported $1 million NIL deal, and why she is staying in college hoops, because she can have a bigger payday in 1 year at TCU than Paige Beckers, the princess that was promised, if you will, has in the WNBA for the entirety of her rookie contract. The financials behind it, of course, make a ton of sense. Rest of the top 6, DRS. Dominique Malonga, the 6'6" French talent, who has drawn comparisons to Victor Wembanyama, of course, goes number 2 overall to the Seattle Storm. The Mystics had 3 picks in the top half of the opening round, Sonia Cintron, Kiki Iriafen, who played last year at USC, and Georgia Amor to the Washington Mystics. Joste Jochite from Lithuania, quite a surprise DRS to go 5th overall to the Golden State Valkyries, who, of course, the newest expansion team in the WNBA.
Yeah, outside of Paige Becker's going there, you could have fooled me and said, name this person, is it real or not? Have no idea. That's why you got to pay the superstars, the ones we know. Come on, pay them.
We'll have a lot on the WNBA in our second hour, which comes your way next.